everyone. Welcome to News Extra. Today we're talking about the 22nd Annual Harvest Festival taking place at the Legacy of the Plains Museum a little bit later on here in September. And I have Dick Kuxhausen, who is one of the volunteers in charge of overseeing the equipment and maintaining it that's there, as well as Dave Wolf, Executive Director. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks,
Dick, let's start with you. You know, when it comes to the Harvest Festival, we're not talking about the John Deere tractors of today or anything like that that's used. It's the equipment that was used several years ago. What's it take to operate these machines, maintain them, and keep them in good working order?
Well, the first thing you got to be is old like me.
Okay.
And then you grew up with a lot of this stuff, and so that makes it a lot easier. But most of the machines we're using, I think we probably, when we have our demonstrations during the festival, we will probably not have anything in there that's less than probably 50 years old.
Wow.
And this year our crop is, our featured crop is sugar beets. Mm-hmm. And so we will have the equipment to harvest those sugar beets, but also when we plowed the field, when we planted, and when we cultivated, we used that period, 50s, 40s and 50s and maybe early 60s tractors.
Okay.
So we try to keep everything back the way it was done then. And so, but it takes a lot of work on some of the equipment that we get is pretty good shape. Mm-hmm. A lot of the others, if something is not there and we can't find it at a salvage yard mm-hmm. or something like that, we just have to make it. And so we do a lot of that. And in the past 5 or 6 years, we've kind of changed. We used to just leave everything the way it was and use it. Well, you know, if you went into a museum and was looking at old cars and they weren't painted in that way, you would kind of say that's not much. So we've going to restoring. Mm-hmm. And this year we restored since it's beet equipment, we restored probably one of the most important pieces of beet equipment would have been in the late 40s. International came with a 1-row beet harvester that one man could go out and replace probably 10 people. Wow. From the hand topping thing.
Sure.
And so we had a 1944 M that we restored, M International, and we restored about a 1951 topper, and that will be on display out there, and then we will use it. We spent hours and hours and painted it, and it's beautiful, but it's going to work.
Sure.
It's got to earn its keep.
Yeah.
So we will.
And of course, topping the beets, the most not difficult, but certainly the most dangerous as far as when it was hand labor. Mm-hmm. You know, topping those beets was something that now that they came across or developed a machine that would do it for you. Oh yeah, definitely.
But we're also going back to that. We're going to start with our demonstration. We will have a demonstration of pulling beets with horses, mm-hmm. With a 1-row puller, and then we will go to like a 2-row puller, and we will pull beets. We will replicate the hand topping. Mm-hmm. We will put the beets in a pile and then top them with knives, and then use pitchforks to load them onto a wagon with a team. Yeah. And then we will go to the later model, which will be like a 1-row John Deere, and that we'll have 3 different toppers. We're going to have a 1-row John Deere, we will have a 1-row Marbeat topper, and then a 1-row International topper, and we will top, and then that will go into a vintage like a 53 truck and that, and we will replicate the harvest like it would have been 50 years ago.
Wow, so something that you see in a lot of the pictures that are still available of the activity here in the North Platte Valley, but you wouldn't expect to really see it, but we'll get a chance to see it all in person coming up and a little bit later this month. There's a whole lot more with the Harvest Festival that's going to be taking place at the Legacy of the Plains Museum, and we'll be back on News Extra in just a moment to tell you about that. And we're back on News Extra. We're talking about the 22nd Annual Harvest Festival taking place at the Legacy of the Plains Museum. I have Executive Director Dave Wolf here with me, as well as volunteer and machinist emeritus, if you will, Dick Kuxhausen with us as well. And you know, we were talking a little bit about the machinery that's used or has been used in the past with the sugar beets. There's certainly a lot more than that that's going to be going on during the Harvest Festival.
Absolutely, and we were talking a little bit off screen about, and Dick brought up a good point. Like, we have so many guys that come out and volunteer for us that help get this machinery up. But not only do we have the sugar beets, but we also have thrashing for the hay. We've got a potato field, so people can come out and pick potatoes and see how sugar beets and potatoes used to be our main crops when this valley first was settled. So you can pay for those to be able to get up there. I think it's $3 for a bag and $5 for a bucket. Those prices will be on our website. But a lot of cooler stuff. You'll be able to climb up on a tractor and take some pictures. Be able to see our tractor and vehicle and equipment parade with horses. Because a lot of before mechanized agriculture, it was done by horses or oxen. So we're going to be able to showcase those. We're going to have free lead line horses. So for kids, they can come in and jump up on a horse, and they'll be led for a little bit. So that's going to be really cool. We'll have the goats back out. A lot of people talk about the goats. So it's just so much to do out there. Small engines, water pumps. And then inside we're selling our cookbook, our Heritage Through Food cookbook, local recipes that were gathered up and then put in one place. So it's really great to see some of these recipes. We'll have a barn sale and some music, and it's just going to be fun for the whole family. There's going to be, almost guaranteed, there's going to be something for everybody there. So.
Yeah, and then a lot of school kids in the valley do get the opportunity to go to the Legacy of the Plains during the course of a school day and take advantage of some of those things, learn about shucking corn and doing some of the hand labor type of things, but they don't necessarily get to see the big machines.
Absolutely, and the older machines. When we think of combines now, we think of the ones that are out in the fields now, but they'll be able to showcase, and we're an education farm. We're a demonstration farm to show how things were done in the past and really preserving that heritage. And I think it's important for everybody to see that. And
in preserving that heritage, of course, comes down to gentlemen like Dick and some of your other fellow volunteers who have that institutional knowledge of how these things worked and how they can work. And of course, you do need to be able to pass that on to definitely help the museum continue onward.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're really striving, and we're going to start doing some more interns and start to get younger people involved with that, so they can learn from Dick and the other guys that are there. And, so we think that's extremely important.
Well, we have this young man that's been out there since he's 14 years old. He's a junior in high school now. He's been out there for 3 years. And he doesn't have a farming background, but he's in FFA, and he just has been a joy for us out there because he's just soaks up anything, and knowledge, and he's been able to learn how to operate the machinery and work on it and everything. So that's been a real boon for us. We really enjoy, and I would like to have more younger guys come out like that, and but this young man has just been great. So.
And as we had talked about before, these are not complex machines like the equipment of today, where it's computerized and you practically have to have a computer degree to work on them. These are actually relatively simple machines. If you have a mechanical aptitude, you could probably pick them up pretty easy.
I think one thing that's always stood out with me is we tend to the generation we're living in, anybody, they tend to think this is the greatest thing. Everything before this didn't amount to much. And yet when I go back and look at those machines that were built in 1919, and I look at it and I think with the metallurgy and the things that they had, the things that those engineers were able to design and work, and to prove that that was a good idea, this stuff still works. We go out there and hook onto something. We have a 1929 binder that we wound up, the oats for thrashing, the wheat for thrashing this year. So there's that's the thing that impresses me.
Yeah, it says something about
That-
the
yeah.
quality of the design and the engineering that
And
went
the
into them.
skill that the old time craftsmen had, the manufacturing deal.
Sure.
You know.
Absolutely. So that's the Harvest Festival coming up September 21st and 22nd at the Legacy of the Plains Museum, the 22nd annual Harvest Festival. Admission only $5. It's very reasonable for the kids, the family, singles, anybody who wants to come out, maybe get some potatoes, learn about sugar beet harvesting as it happened over the past 50 years and even beyond that. And something that's just right around the corner, right here in our own backyard. Dave, Dick, thank you very much for joining us on News Extra today.